A to the K.
A to the K.
A to the K.
Coming up tonight on the Ringside Report. Bray Wyatt reacts to report he deserved to be released from WWE.
Braun Strowman reacts to NXT's... let's try again. Let's start again. Let's fuck all this off, right? Start again, Karl. Right? Braun Strowman reacts to NXT Star's dark match before SmackDown.
NXT star Zoe Stark reportedly out injured.
I've got it now, Karl. I want to do this one right. Jon Moxley enters rehab for alcohol... That was too enthusiastic. Jon Moxley enters rehab for alcohol treatment.
Oh, sorry. Kevin Owens does something. What does he do, Anthony? Well, since you asked, Kevin Owens is potentially heading to AEW. Did you know?
Is he?
Uh-huh.
You'll have to listen and find out now. The suspense killing you. Right. GCW owner states Bray Wyatt isn't interested in running indies, and who's going to know better than the owner of GCW?
That's not nice saying, oh, he doesn't like to run.
That's the problem WWE had with him.
Exactly. AJ Styles reportedly out of action with a medical issue, but not injured.
That's such a weird, wild way of saying that, isn't it?
Yes.
He's a medical issue, but he's not injured. He just doesn't have a leg. That was a joke. That's not what it is. Last one, Karl. And literally coming in today, and very, very much the rumour mill, but fuck it, we're throwing it out there. Are there going to be more WWE releases today, this week, soon, now? Who knows? Well, hopefully we do.
Yeah, maybe us.
Hopefully
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're throwing stuff out into the universe.
I mean, You never know. You never know.
Yeah. So let's kick off with the first piece of news. Then is all around the former Bray Wyatt. So when my tab opens, he has reacted to
Bray a couple of times.
It's all. It's the Bray show.
In the news
it's the cult of Wyndham. So he has reacted to a report that he deserved to be released by WWE. So Ringside News stated there was a source inside WWE that said that he deserved to be let go by the company. Not being an apologist or WWE defender, just telling you like it is. If you were running a business and Wyndham was on your payroll, you'd release him too. Between his backstage antics and the way he handled himself when making millions and millions while medically flagged, he really deserved to be released. So Wyndham, as he obviously is going by now, his real name, he came back on Twitter to that, tagging Ringside News and said, "Now that we have Johnny and Bruce's opinion, I would like to share mine soon. # Cult of Wyndham." Obviously referring to Johnny Ace and Bruce Pritchard in that. So, interesting one. What does that mean?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately it breaks down to ex-employer goes, "He deserved to go," and he's gone, "No, I didn't."
Yeah.
Like, that's basically it. But it's interesting that he's targeted very specifically Johnny Ace and Bruce. He already has had some bad interactions and some bad with those guys.
Well, yeah. Obviously, Bruce from a creative standpoint and Johnny from a talent relations standpoint. But I imagine, there's a lot of rumours or talk that he was being difficult creatively. But you have no idea what Pritchard was coming up with.
The concept of being difficult creatively could be anything with WWE. They were basically backstage going, "Just put on the skirt," and he's like, "I don't want to wear a skirt." They just put on the skirt. That's difficult creatively. You will dress as a leprechaun and like it. But apparently Vince wasn't a big fan of The Fiend either, which is something that's been doing the rounds this week. So, maybe from WWE's perspective they were. I mean, you would think a man who draws you the amount of merchandise revenue that he did wouldn't be someone you'd want to get rid of. I mean, usually, it's a very shrewd businessman. Why would you want to send someone who can generate that kind of buzz and that kind of merch anywhere else?
Well, that's
Doesn't make sense to me,
especially with his latest gimmick, Kentucky Fiend Chicken, the son of the Gobbledygooker or something, probably what they were.
Yeah, I mean that's what they were going for. I mean, if he'd just wore the turkey outfit, he'd still be in WWE. But
exactly,
some people are just ungrateful and just difficult to work with.
That would have sold like hotcakes on WWE shop, I think. It's chicken suit. Come on.
You should have a doll too, Fiend. We've discovered we can sell dolls now.
God, yeah.
Oh, God. Anyway, sorry. A lot of moaning about WWE there. But if someone, what do you think? Do you think we're going to get some sort of high-profile interview with Bray somewhere?
Seems likely.
He's about offering his opinion. He's not actually to the outlet for that opinion. I mean, we could see him potentially talking to Jericho, or I mean, there's various podcasts he could do. He could do interviews with some of the bigger news outlets. He could do his own thing on YouTube or whatever. You just don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what his reaction is going to be. Last we heard from him.
Hi, Bray. Talk to me. Our show. Okay. You know where we are. But yeah.
just follow the buzzards. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
But that'd be interesting to see what happens, because obviously the last thing we heard from him, other than this, obviously was the 2 days to go or something along the lines he put in there about his contract being up. He is a free agent as of this point and can speak and appear and do whatever he wants in that sense, really. The lights just gone out in AEW in the background over here. Definitely isn't him, but I still hope now, even though it's pre-recorded.
That would have been like fucking brilliant, to be fair, if we were watching it live or something, just as you were talking about it. But I mean, imagine if the likes of AEW had an event coming up, a pay-per-view soon, where something like this could happen, and maybe be followed up by an appearance on Talkers Jericho.
I mean, it's crazy, really, because you could have argued, like, maybe there'd be a spot open in a certain tournament due to unforeseen circumstances that, like, it would be an ideal opportunity for him to fill. That is wild speculation, because I believe Punk's took that role, but whatever.
Oh no, that role was taken. It was taken by Miro.
Oh, was it taken by Miro?
Yeah.
I'm not caught up yet. Thanks for the spoilers, Karl.
I know, yeah. No point listening next week now, guys.
Sorry, guys, who haven't seen it yet. Karl's just ruined everything for you.
It's also like, as if we're a week out, behind schedule and out of date. But no, it's not how we roll. So yeah, let's see how this all unfolds, Anthony.
Indeed. So my next one, Karl, honestly, a little bit of a fluff piece, but it was an interesting conversation to have around it, in theory. So Braun Strowman recently reacted to a certain NXT star's dark match on SmackDown. You'll be like, why is that? Why is Braun reacting to this? Well, he just happens to be the boyfriend of said NXT star in Raquel Gonzalez, who had a dark match before SmackDown with one Toni Storm. Now, first comment I'd like to make, Karl, is the fact that Toni Storm's been on the main roster for some time now, and the biggest thing we've seen is a dark match with Raquel Gonzalez, someone from NXT. What's going on there? Secondly, though, this has obviously led to a lot of Braun's tweets, for those who are like dying to know, was just simply that he was proud of it, which he should be. I mean, she was killing it in NXT, and hopefully she's going to carry on killing it on the main roster. But with recent title loss to Mandy Rose, yeah, that happened. Like, look it up. It legit happened. Are we going to see a main roster Raquel? And if so, what do you think the landscape would look like for her? Because obviously she is one of the... she's more of a Charlotte type than anything. Do you know what I mean? In terms of stature. So do you think we're going to see any sort of decent match, looking at the current women's roster of SmackDown? Do you think we've got any decent matches coming up? Do you think this might be one we have in recent years? Do you think this was just a random dark match? Wouldn't be the first time WWE's had somebody appear on a dark match and never appear again. Hey, Harry.
Oh, poor Harry. I would say the outlook is looking bleak, unfortunately. They don't do well with bringing talent up to the main roster. It never tends to work out super well for them. Look at Rhea Ripley. She was in a similar mold when in NXT.
Very
was
much so, yeah.
Smashing it. Now she's a tag team champ with Nikki ASH.
Look at Mercedes Martinez. She's not there anymore.
Oh, yeah. And Toni Storm, who she was going in the dark match against, where the fuck she? So yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, we're only just now starting to see Shotzi, and even she's not in like a proper main event feud, but she's only just starting to be allowed to play with the big girls. So
it's one thing that, like, it still really baffles me. Like, Mandy Rose has had a better run going back to NXT than she had on the main roster. How has that worked? How is that what arguably should be a backward step, given that NXT is now a developmental talent, according to most of the internet wrestling fandom? It wasn't the case like a year ago, but apparently we're a developmental talent again. And she's killing it on there, but we're never given a solid run on the main roster. It's baffling that how does it work backwards like that?
It is. it's a really weird setup they've got. Like NXT is booked, maybe less now with NXT 2.0, but NXT has always, traditionally been booked very different to the main roster. So it's almost like, they go into a new promotion. So like Mandy Rose, who's like, well, you're blonde, ain't you? And, you got boobs. So, I don't know, you can be a valet, or we're going to put you in like a girlfriend gimmick with Otis. Yeah, that's what we'll do. That's the WWE spin on it. Whereas, she goes into NXT and it's like, oh yeah, you can actually, you've improved in the ring and you're pretty good and you can probably mentor some of the others. Let's make you a leader of a faction, like night and day. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's working so well. It's shocking. Like, I wouldn't, if you just told me back when she was doing her bit with Otis that this is where she's going to be now, I wouldn't have believed you. It's just crazy.
There you
Well,
go.
the difference.
More you know.
So hopefully we get to see some really positive things here coming for Raquel's run on the main roster. I sincerely hope that is the case. Despite obviously I'm not even going to call it negativity, despite the overwhelming amount of facts to say that it might not go very well. I really hope it does.
Yeah, me too. Be nice to break the mold and break the pattern. So next one to talk about. So keeping with NXT. So Zoe Stark is reportedly suffered a legitimate injury. So again, spoilers because we haven't spoke about yesterday's show because we are behind. But at yesterday's episode of NXT, there was a backstage segment with the new NXT Women's Tag Champions Gigi Dolan and JC Jane, where they attacked Stark in the locker room. So this led to Dolan, Jane, and Mandy
Finally,
Rose.
this was a shoot, not a work.
Yeah, attacking Io Shirai as well until Kate Carter and Casey Catanzaro came out to make the save. But it was noted on commentary that Stark was taken to a local medical facility and that we would get a update on her health later in the week. So it's believed that she is said to be legitimately injured. So this is the angle that's going to write her off TV for a bit. So interesting.
Indeed. So, Karl, the next one I have. I don't really want to call it a bit of bad news. Like, from a fandom point of view, it's a bit of bad news because it's going to be off our screens for a while. But I don't want to call it a bit of bad news because it's someone doing the healthy thing for themselves. And that is the fact that we had the news break from Tony Khan over Twitter, I believe, that John Moxley has entered into an inpatient alcohol treatment program. And again, I don't want to call this necessarily bad news because this is someone who has identified, obviously, in himself that he has a problem and he needs to deal with it and has chose to do so. And, fantastic. They're the best thing you can do. Tony's tweet, again, it just really, for me, I think it was a really good way of putting it. Like, he's really emphasized how important Mox is to Tony and to the company. So I'll give you some snippets from it. Is that, again, he started out by saying, John Moxley has allowed me to share with you that he has entered into an inpatient alcohol treatment program. John is a beloved member of the AEW family. We stand with him and Renee and all of his family and friends as he shifts focus to recovery. He went on to make another couple of tweets after that, but essentially, it's one of them. It's sad news. Again, from our point of view, that we're going to have some time now where John's not going to be on our screens, but all we can do is hope he gets the treatments he needs. And for me, I wasn't even thinking about the wrestling side of it. I'm like, this dude's got a young family there. He needs to, he's definitely doing the right thing. He needs to get himself right, and he needs to just concentrate on the family side of things first and foremost.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think obviously being parents ourselves, your focus does shift when obviously you become a parent in terms of what is important and what you need to work on to be the best parent that you can be and stuff. So, at the end of the day, whether it's you look at it as a sad piece of news or positive or whatever, he's getting help that he believes that he needs to become who he wants to be. So we wish him all the best and the most success in finding that and becoming who he wants to be, and hopefully that we get to see him back soon and in a better state of mind, because Mox is a ledge. So
indeed,
all the best and well wishes from us. So the next one to talk about, this one is it's resurfaced in the news again, but it's about Kevin Owens. So as we know, his contract is set to expire at the end of January next year. So it was brought up. I can't even remember when it was now, but it was like a month or two ago that I think it was Fightful again said that with his contract ending, he doesn't seem like he's got any indication that he's going to re-sign or and he certainly hasn't done so yet. So it's entirely possible that he still might do at the 11th hour, but it also means that it's quite highly likely that he might end up leaving. So I think a lot of people have been looking at his kind of less than stellar win-loss record since this, and he also obviously he posted a reference to the old stable that he was in with the Young Bucks and Adam Cole back in like the Ring of Honor days, called Mount Rushmore. So he put the coordinates again a month or so ago on Twitter. So people are kind of looking at all the evidence now that is it starting to pile up, and is he potentially destined to be leaving when it comes to January? What would you make of this? Obviously, he's one of my favourites in WWE, but it's very clear he hasn't been used prominently in a long time. So it's been hard to get super invested in what he's been doing. But this could give him a new lease of life.
I mean, I'm intrigued. My gut saying he's not going to go.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe he's going to be featured more prominently, and there may even be signs of that this week, Karl, when you watch it this week. I don't know. But I don't know. My gut's telling me he's going to stick with WWE. It's the reason I say that, like, he obviously made himself in I think GPW initially, but he's clearly a childhood fan of WWE, and to work for the place that you loved as a kid, there's something to be said for that. And I think he has been afforded some great opportunities there, and I don't think he's bitter enough towards the company, even in the current stance he's got at the minute. I mean, everyone has the highs and lows with the company, don't they? I think if they're willing to keep him for the right, for the right sort of deal, I can't. I think there's a lot of speculation here, and I understand, and it's nice to draw a bit of. It is nice to have a bit of fun, really, and draw a bit of speculation and get people talking. But I honestly, I can see him staying.
I do. I don't think it's as clear cut as some people are making out, but there's a lot of cases for him both staying and leaving, because if he was to leave, obviously he's a massive fan of Owen Hart, hence his ring name today. Obviously, we've got the Owen Hart
of course,
Cup and Invitational. That could be something he wants to be involved in. He's so close with Adam Cole, the Young Bucks, loads of the other guys from Ring of Honor, Jericho, as well. So he's got a lot of friends who are over there.
I mean, he'd definitely he'd have a great time in AEW. He'd fit in well, and he knows a lot of the roster. But I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I don't know why. I can't even articulate some of the reason. There's almost just like a gut feeling there that I just don't think he's leaving.
I mean, it is an interesting one. Like, how many more people can they lose? And I know everyone kind of jokes.
We'll find out tonight.
Calls it, AEWWE or whatever. But there's loads of them now, isn't there? Especially like if the likes of Bray Wyatt and stuff ends up rocking up there and things like.
It's crazy though, the amount of talent that they've like. I feel bad for them getting that sort of reputation, but how could you not want to snap up Kevin Owens or Bray Wyatt?
Yeah.
Like, it'd be stupid not to try at least get them.
No, it is. It's insane. It's not like they've just gone, oh well, they work for WWE once. Let's get him. Like, they have legitimately just got like some of the best who was available. But it's also interesting. Obviously, we spoke about it last week. Like, is AEW going to snap up a load of the Ring of Honor talent in the new year as well? Because it will get to a point, and I know Tony Khan's been very, blunt about this and said that he's not going to be cutting people in the middle of a pandemic. But it will get to the point where it won't be sustainable for too much longer, especially when you bring in the likes of Punk and Danielson, who must be on mega deals.
The bottom line is, unless they're afforded more TV time to be able to make more money, to be able to have the extended roster, it, like you say, just wouldn't be feasible. Are we going to end up seeing Rampage go to 2 hours so that they can actually get the screen time to put these talents out there and hopefully make some more money?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
you can't run at a loss, can you?
I genuinely believe that you can run a wrestling promotion. I mean, the finances will play the biggest part in it, but my point is, I don't feel like you need to see the same guys on TV every single week. I know I said the complete opposite of that when we spoke about Roman Reigns not being on SmackDown this week.
But again, we alluded to like back in the day.
Yeah.
When it wasn't expected to see the big guys every week or the same guys every week, you could space some shit out, and we lost that with WWE and the amount of programming they had. And again, not having a bash at WWE, it was just the way that they could do things was that you could see these people all the time on your different shows. They had such a roster that they ended up competing with themselves. So we had separate roster on Raw and SmackDown. Like that's if you think about it, most like unheard of outside of WWE, really.
No, it is.
They were a totally different animal, and I think when you look at AEW, like there's no reason that you can't act more like the old school days where you don't have to see the big guys every week.
Well, that's it, and it keeps it fresh, and it keeps your feuds and stuff like that last kind of longer, and there's more space between them and stuff. So, I think it could be done, but let's see. I do think they will have to trim some of the fat of the roster eventually, though, because you can't keep running like this. They'll end up operating at a loss. So.
No, I do agree with that. I do agree.
Yeah, I'm going to say it now. I think that we will see Kevin Owens there.
All right, man. If that's what you want to say.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let's check back. Let's check back in February when we hit our 2-year anniversary. Let's check back and see.
Let's do it.
Right.
Okay, that's fair. Right. So my next one, Karl. This is a bit of a weird one in some senses because it's very, very speculative, but an interesting comment because he obviously does know people in the biz, right? And this is who did it? Wrestling Inc. Daily sat down with Brett Lauderdale, who is the owner of GCW, and they were talking about, among many other things, about obviously the relationship they had with the likes of Matt Cardona, and they actually asked him the question: had he spoke to Wyndham Rotunda, or Bray Wyatt, as he's more commonly known? And the response has got a lot of people talking because basically what he said is he's never talked to Bray Wyatt, but he understands, and again, understanding from what he spoke to other people in the industry and within their world, is that the likes of GCW and generally the indies, it's not he's basically said our world is not a very appealing one to Bray Wyatt. Now, this has led to, I've read various things as to what this meant because it was slightly cryptic. A lot of people have suggested that it's a money thing, like he basically he would want, anywhere he goes, he's going to go to make some top money sort of thing, and that's not the type of thing you could get from the likes of GCW. All due respect to them, they've been likened very much, even in this interview, they've been likened to a modern day ECW, and ECW weren't known for being able to splash the cash. So I get that, but he even sort of tried to clarify a little bit, saying there's no secret message. I think he's not interested in making the rounds on the indies. He's been very clear about his thoughts on that. But again, this isn't from the horse's mouth. This isn't even like a massively strong source of someone close to Bray has said this or anything like that. But it's interesting that that's sort of the perspective. And I suppose for a guy who's been essentially the top guy in WWE and one of the biggest merch sellers for a substantial amount of time with WWE, it would be a massive change financially to drop all the way down to like indie appearances for a fraction of what you used to get. So I get where he's coming from, that it wouldn't sound too appealing financially. Is that the main draw? Is that the thing? I mean, we saw Matt Cardona, who was definitely making more money in WWE. He's absolutely loving life, appearing for GCW and TNA and doing basically whatever the fuck he wants and just enjoying wrestling. But what do you think of this? Is this something you think Bray is going to be going to the place that's going to pay him the best, or do you think it is going to be, he's going to go where he's going to enjoy himself the most? What do you reckon?
I mean, the fact is with Bray, he was never an indie darling, was he? He's come up in WWE's development system. He's a rotunda. At the end of the day, his dad was IRS. He's only ever known the WWE scene, so it's not like he's got this big bit of passion for the indies and wants to get back. He's never worked the indies, so
that's a really good point. I think that's the massive difference in it, is that like a lot of these people who are going back and having a run are people who came up from there, and it's like a nostalgic trip almost,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
exactly.
I get that, yeah.
So for me, I think there's only two places he's going to end up going, and that's either Impact or AEW. So I'm excited to see either one of them. Selfishly, I wanted to see AEW because I watch that obviously weekly, and I'm very, very much invested in it. Impact, I do try and catch where I can, but
although, like you say, selfishly, AEW would be great because we watch it weekly, but it would be a massive thing for Impact if they got him.
Oh, it'd be way bigger for Impact than it would be for Bray. You know what I mean? Especially in terms of eyeballs and stuff like that on the product. So yeah, it'd be an interesting one. But they're starting to make some big moves. They've got the inspiration over there now in Impact as well. They were trying their best to get Adam Scher, or the Titan as he's going to be known now, which didn't kind of come off. So
still talks about Bronson Reed going over there, and again, as much as you couldn't go like, oh, he's a massive name. He was a talented guy and he did a lot for NXT, so he'd be a good get for them. So
I do think though, if they got Bray Wyatt, that'd be a whole different level. I still maintain that if he's going to go anywhere, it's going to be AEW. But if he shows up on Impact, then it'll definitely get some eyeballs on them. So it's hopefully going to be one of them in the long run.
Yeah.
So next one to talk about is an interesting one. This AJ Styles is reportedly out of action at the moment with a non-injury medical issue. So basically, he hasn't injured himself, but for some sort of medical reason, he's not cleared to participate. So obviously,
I want to call it now.
Come on,
hair transplant.
Hair transplant.
He's been holding on to them locks for as long as he could, and he needs to go and get it corrected.
Damn. Okay. Interesting.
I think there's obviously something genuine going on there. I don't mean to take the piss, but
what about AJ Piles? Or maybe AJ Smiles. He's getting the Roman Reigns treatment. You never know. But yeah, no, it's a weird one. Obviously, it's never nice to speculate on this kind of stuff because you don't know obviously the severity of any potential reason that's keeping him out and stuff like that. People could look and be like, oh, it's COVID, or they could jump to any conclusion that they possibly would want to. But if it's not,
I'm just saying. I remember when Charlotte was out with a non-injury medical issue. Could it be a similar thing for AJ? Who knows?
Well, maybe.
No, again, I shouldn't take the hopefully it's nothing too serious. Obviously, it's great that it's not an injury because that means hopefully we won't be out long term. But what is it?
You see, again, purely speculation, isn't it? But do you think they would class something like, I don't know, like a concussion type thing or whatever as an injury?
I mean, you'd hope they would, but well, it is WWE.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think, would it be something which isn't like, he's broken something or torn something's going to keep him out for months and months, but maybe it's just, I don't know, a strain or like a concussion thing or something.
Yeah, it's not like a sustained injury, but they want to check. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But hopefully AJ, it's nothing too serious. I'm sure Almost can pick up the slack while you're gone. And we hope to see him back on our screens very soon.
No, we definitely do. And I'm hoping to see him in some singles competition again at some point soon. No offense to Almost, but
this break will be the break he needs to get away from the Giant. I get you.
Yes, please. So, yeah.
So, speaking of seeing people on our screens, Karl, apparently, and this is fairly recent and fairly uncredited at this point, but fuck it, we've got to talk about it. Let's make it. And that is, and this is no disrespect to the Twitter handle that put it out there, but we had Wrestle Votes on Twitter. I've actually cited today. They've said, I have unconfirmed names, but hearing WWE may be releasing a small number of talent today. Another uneasy day in Stamford. So when I say fairly uncredited, it's because they themselves have unconfirmed names. It is somewhat speculative at this point. It is very rumour, but we also have heard that in terms of an office staff point of view, they have made some releases, and it is very typical of WWE that they like to make releases right before they have to put their quarterlies out there. So it would make sense. It's interesting that they're saying it's a small number of releases. That's not what WWE used to. Normally it's a lot of people. Maybe they're running out of people to actually get rid of. I don't know. Who would you get rid of this time? Jesus. Yeah. And all we can do, I mean, I hope it's not true, and I hope we don't I feel bad saying it because I'm like, I hope we don't lose any significant names. I hope we don't lose any names. No one deserves to lose the job, you know what I mean? But
right before Christmas as well, do you know what I mean?
I know, yeah.
They won't be able to work during their non-compete clause. So
which is fucking brilliant, isn't it?
over Christmas isn't going to be great. But to be fair, this WrestleVotes person, they're quite credible. They do get a lot of stuff right.
I weren't
No,
trying to
no,
cite
no.
them as a non-credible source, to be honest. It's more the fact that the way they phrased it doesn't
They're
sound like
unconfirmed
there's
names
a
and
lot
stuff.
of... Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but no, I'm just thinking like in terms of like, you know, obviously we're both hoping it's not true, but at the same time, I'm like, well, to be fair, these guys
Like the releases element of it probably is.
Yeah, like they're typically on the money or there or thereabouts. To be fair to them, so yeah, remains to be seen. Obviously, time difference is a bitch because, you know, if it does happen, it'll end up happening while we're asleep.
Let's do a quick live update while we're on here, Karl. WWE releases. Siri. That's good.
Siri, lol. Like we have an iPhone. I'm not seeing them.
Oh no, there have been some releases, Karl. They've released their third quarter financial reports.
Ah!
Sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Literally, as of right now, we haven't seen any names being put out there. Obviously, it's, for those who care, it's 10:30 on the British Standard. What are we? GMT.
Back to GMT now.
Meantime. So, you know, make of that what you will. You know, there's still plenty of day left, really, for over in the States.
Wouldn't that make a fantastic stable name? Greenwich Mean Time.
Well, when we make our wrestling debut in WWE, Karl, that's exactly what we can call ourselves.
Yeah, and then when it gets to the summer, we're just like late for everything, or early, depending on how the clocks work.
Or we just like we add and lose a member of the faction depending on what time of year it is.
I like that. Keeps it fresh. But yeah, so stay tuned. You know, we can't bring you the names of any of these potential releases at this point, but yeah.
All we can say is keep an eye on our social media, because you can be damn sure if we hear of anything, we're going to be putting it on there.
Exactly, and if it happens while we're asleep, then you'll hear from everyone else before us, but we'll still put it on.
We'll still put it up, and we'll still put it up late. We're gossips, and we're going to keep gossiping.
It's what we do. So yeah, that was the news. Bit of a short and sweet one this week. But yeah, some very interesting things come out of there, and potentially.
Not only are we short.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so interesting stuff all around, and potentially breaking news there as well in terms of potential releases. So stay tuned for that. We are going to be back after some words from...
better than ever.
Better than ever. We'll be back after some words from the wonderful Griff Garrison. We'll be talking about what if the curtain call never happened. So we'll be back after this.
This is Griff Garrison, and you're listening to A2theK.
A2theK. A2theK.